So I've gone ahead and created a 0 overall team in the Everett Elks, and we're going to win this team a Stanley Cup. Every single season, I'm going to be adding one NHL player to this team, and we're going to see how many NHL players it takes for this team to win a Stanley Cup. And it's going to take a handful. Like, we're a 0 overall team. These are the lowest attributes that players can have. 36s across the board, 0 stars in every single category. This team is bad. But this team is going to get better because we're going to spin this wheel every single season, and we're going to be adding players, and it looks like that first player is coming from the Pittsburgh Penguins. Now, it's not going to be that simple. I can't just go ahead and pick Sidney Crosby, but we have to pick a position here, and we have to select one from this board. We're going to start with number 8 for Kobe, and it looks like we're going to be picking up a right defenseman from the Pittsburgh Penguins. Now, a right defenseman isn't actually that bad of a selection here, because we're going to be picking up Erik Karlsson from the Pittsburgh Penguins, 90 overall. So I'll definitely take a 90 overall to start this rebuild. However, it doesn't even look like Erik Karlsson could save this team, because we're still going to be 0 overall. However, we do have to simulate the season, because you never know, Erik Karlsson might lead them to a Stanley Cup. What's the difference between this team and the San Jose Sharks team he was on last season? Basically the same thing if you ask me. Now, if you were wondering what happens when you add a 90 overall to a 0 overall team, the game completely breaks. Erik Karlsson, you are now our second line center. You heard that right, they want him playing second line center minutes, even though he is literally the best player on this team. I'm going to give him first line center minutes. This man is going to win a face-off all season, but you know what? That doesn't really matter too much. This team's going to lose every game. Erik Karlsson, he might pick up 30 points, but we do have to remember there's literally only 0 overall players alongside him, so he literally has to go coast to coast for every goal. Now, while we simulate the entire season here, we already know I'm trying to hit 62,000 subs by the end of the month, but more importantly, here's my TikTok right here. That's right, Stick on the Ice is starting a TikTok, so you should go follow that immediately. Also, I do want to mention I have trades on. Ryan O'Reilly, Tyson Barrie, and Jason Zucker just got traded to the Dallas Stars for Logan Stankoven and Bork. That is a terrible move. Shout out to Nashville though, they're finessing. Now, I'm not gonna lie, we did something pretty spectacular this season. We did not score a single goal the entire 82 games. Like, this team right here did not record one single point. That is something special. What the Everett Elks did this season is absolutely spectacular. 0 goals scored, 1,023 allowed, which is going to be 12.48 goals per game. We were getting outscored by 12.48 goals per game. That is a differential right there. But I do want to look at Erik Karlsson's numbers because, I mean, he had to have been doing something. He didn't take a single shot. This team did not take a single shot the entire year. Erik Karlsson, you didn't even pick up that many penalty minutes either. I mean, you picked up 14. That's actually pretty respectable. Minus 428. This is better than I thought it would be. These numbers are just something else though. You won 43% of your faceoffs. I will give you that. You know what? You blocked 69 shots, which is actually a lot less than I was expecting, because some of the guys on this team, they were blocking shots this season. 280, 272, 239. Considering we were allowing 12 goals per game, which was probably about 1,000 shots a game, these are decent blocking numbers. I also thought the giveaways would be way higher here. Erik Karlsson picking up 2 takeaways. We had a couple fights here, but nah. This team is bad. Like, I knew we were bad. Like, obviously, we're a 0 overall team. But this bad? No, that's something else. Now, I'm not going to lie, this might be the best way to cap off season number 1 here. The Vancouver Canucks taking down the Ottawa Senators to win the Stanley Cup. Vancouver finally gets their chance to hoist the cup. So let's head back over to the wheel of NHL teams and see who we're going to be picking up next. It doesn't really matter which team we're going to be landing on. We're getting elite players. Tampa, they're going to be helping us a ton here. Now, if you were to ask me what I want from the Tampa Bay Lightning here, of course I want a goaltender, and I think we're going to go with number 13 here. We're picking up another right defenseman. That does not help us in the slightest. Well, I mean, it does help us because our team is absolutely abysmal, but I would like something other than a right defenseman. Now, it actually works out getting the Tampa Bay Lightning here because it could have been a lot worse. Imagine if we got a right defenseman and it came from the Philadelphia Flyers, we would be cooked there. However, Sergachev, he plays both the left and right side, and since he plays the right side, he can play on our team. Welcome to team 88 overall, Mikhail Sergachev. Now, of course, we're going to trust what the coach is cooking up here. Sergachev, you're going to be playing on the left wing. Erik Karlsson, you're going to be playing second line center. I want both of these guys playing together, though. I don't know what the coach is cooking up here, putting Karlsson on the second line. I don't even know what he's cooking up having him on the forward lines. Doesn't make any sense here, but these two guys alongside each other, they might be able to pick up 3 shots this season. Okay, if I keep seeing trades like this, I'm going to highlight them. Logan Stankoven's getting traded for Cam Fowler and Frank Vetrano. That is an awful deal. Okay, what's going on here? Zach Benson got traded for Seth Jones and Taylor Hall. Zach Benson for Seth Jones and Taylor Hall. Now, these teams aren't cooking. This right here, this ain't it. Now, the boys can celebrate this season. We got to start bringing out champagne. 2 goals. We scored 2 goals this season. Only allowed basically the exact same amount as last season. I think this is identical to last season. 1,023. Maybe we allowed 1,024 last year. All I know is this team improved with Sergachev. Erik Karlsson leading the way, 2 points. Sergachev, he's picking up 2 points as well. These guys are 2 superstars right here, and they're leading this team to greatness. Also, we had a handful of guys taking shots this season outside of Erik Karlsson and Sergachev. One of the Joe NHLs has picked up 9 shots, another one 6, 4 here, 1 here. The fact that some of these guys are actually shooting the puck is a good sign for this team. But what isn't a good sign is the fact that we're still 82-0 and the Seattle Kraken are winning the Stanley Cup. So let's go ahead and add another superstar to this team. So who's going to be the next savior for this team? The Dallas Stars. Logan Stankoven, we could add you to our team and then you can't get traded anymore. You'd be a star here. But you know who else I wouldn't mind on our team? Jake Ottinger. And you know what? We're going with number 2 for Jake Ottinger here. I told y'all. Jake Ottinger with the 2nd overall pick here. Welcome to the team. Now, I feel like I deserve a bit of respect for a selection like that. I had a 2 in 18 chance of landing on goaltender and getting Jake Ottinger, but he's a 91 overall. He's going to be our star goaltender for the rest of this video here, unless we somehow get like Shesterkin or Sorokin, but I highly doubt that's going to be happening. Jake Ottinger, welcome to this team, and you're going to help us win a couple games this season. Unless for some reason we do something completely stupid and you end up playing on our right wing next year. I mean, anything's really possible with this team, and we are up to a 9 overall. Everett's ready to take over the league. So Jake Ottinger, I'm going to set some realistic expectations for you this season. 3 wins and 4 shutouts. That's right, Jake Ottinger. 3 wins, 4 shutouts. How are you going to pick up 4 shutouts and only win 3 games? I don't know, figure it out. So Jake Ottinger was playing so good this season that the game doesn't know what to do here. We're stuck on January 1st. We can't simulate any further here, so yeah, we're just going to call this season a wash and we're adding somebody new to the team. So who is next to join this dumpster fire of a team? Not a single player in the NHL wants to come here. We're landing on the Detroit Red Wings. I would have really preferred the Edmonton Oilers, especially if we're going to be picking from the center position. And I'm not even going to cap. If we land on center here, I'm going to be very upset. 18 for McDavid. Never mind, we're getting left winger. I don't know why I said 18 for McDavid, but you know what? It's the way she goes. Now, a left winger from the Detroit Red Wings is actually going to be a decent enough pickup here. We're adding Dylan Larkin because his secondary position is left wing. So Dylan Larkin, welcome to the team, our first true forward. So we officially have 1 forward line, but it actually only includes 1 forward in Dylan Larkin. Erik Karlsson and Sergachev, still haven't figured out why you're here, but starting next season, you're actually going to start playing defense for this team. Now let's just hope with the addition of Dylan Larkin, we can actually sim past January 1st. The Everett Elks just keep on impressing me. Yeah, we haven't won a single game here, and we haven't made it to overtime yet, but we scored 24 goals this season, and Jake Ottinger, he's going to bring our goals against down to 605, which is 7.38 goals allowed per game. That shows you how much of a difference an elite goaltender can make. And on top of that, Dylan Larkin's really going to get the offense going here. Erik Karlsson, 22 points, Dylan Larkin, 21, and Sergachev, he's going to be picking up 20 here, with the leading goal scorer being Erik Karlsson, he's got 9. And we have to look at this absolute hero in Jake Ottinger. Played in 81 games this season, because Joe NHL, he's getting pulled in a majority of them, but a 907 and a 556 actually is not that bad. A 507 with this team, considering you faced 4,000 shots, yeah, I'll take it. And just for a bit of context, here's how many shots every other goaltender in the league faced. Jake Ottinger's at the top with 4,000, and the next is John Gibson with 2,300. So a 1,700 shot difference, and Jake Ottinger only played 7 more games. To cap off this season, we're going to take a look at the Stanley Cup champions here, and it looks like that's going to be the Winnipeg Jets taking down the Islanders in a 5-game series. So we saw some significant progress last season. Let's hope that continues here, and it looks like we're going to be getting an elite player from the New York Rangers. It doesn't really matter what position we get here, we're going to be adding a superstar. Now, ideally, we can get left winger back-to-back times here, but I don't think that's going to be possible. We're going to be selecting number 6 here. We're getting a left defenseman. It's not the end of the world, though. We're going to be picking up another D-man. Now, obviously, I would prefer if we added Adam Fox by getting right defenseman, but you know what? Keandre Miller, that's not a bad selection in the slightest here. He's an 86 overall. He's a good young defenseman, but it doesn't really matter how young you are because you're not going to be progressing with the team. You're just going to be an 86 overall here, but hey, an 86 overall is an 86, so Keandre Miller, welcome to the Everett Elks. So heading into this season, as I said, we're actually going to run realistic lines here. Erik Karlsson and Sergachev are going to be the first pairing, then Keandre Miller and Joe NHL are going to be the second. That means our forward core is going to be looking something like this: Dylan Larkin and a bunch of 0 overall players. So clearly we're not going to see as much scoring this season. So something amazing happened this season. A 0-81 and 1 record. We lost 1 game in overtime here. I'm not sure which game it is. We lost to the LA Kings in a shootout. The LA Kings really could only beat us in a shootout. We have 5 NHL players on our team right now, a goalie, 1 forward, and 3 defensemen, and you couldn't beat us 11-0. Like the Colorado Avalanche smoked us, the Arizona Coyotes smoked us, even the Vancouver Canucks, you didn't smoke us, but you did beat us 4-1, so you were still able to beat us. You couldn't beat us in regulation, you guys needed a shootout. It's time to relocate the franchise, because any team that can't beat the Everett Elks in regulation needs to be relocated immediately. Erik Karlsson 14 points this season, Dylan Larkin 12, Keandre Miller 8, Sergachev, he's picking up 2 points. We knew the point totals were going to be a lot lower, seeing as these guys weren't playing on the forward core. The goaltending numbers for Jake Oettinger, as we know, he's picking up that 1 overtime loss here, but a 905 and a 579. Not too bad still. Like, I mean, these aren't bad numbers in comparison to Jordan NHL here. Oh, I forgot. It's not Joe NHL anymore. It's Jordan NHL. Why they changed that, I still haven't figured out. Shout out to the legend Joe NHL though, he's the real hero. No, but in all seriousness, why did EA actually go out of their way to change it from Joe NHL to Jordan NHL? Like, who cares? We're selecting from the Vegas Golden Knights next. If we were to use our last right defenseman selection here, I wouldn't be against that. Like, we could pick up St. Louis Blues legend Alex Pietrangelo, but it doesn't look like that's going to be happening. Mark Stone, welcome to the team. Mr. February himself. And I think we all know why I called Mark Stone Mr. February here. How does that man always get injured in February right before the trade deadline, and then Vegas can spend all of his money? But in all seriousness, Mark Stone, I hope you get healthy soon. You had a lacerated spleen. I don't think you fake that. I actually think he has a legit injury. Whether he's going to be healthy for the beginning of the playoffs, who knows about that? But a lacerated spleen isn't just bruising your toe, like he's legit hurt. Now with the addition of Mark Stone to the forward core, we're 1 forward away from completing the first line, and I'm expecting this team to lose a couple more games in overtime this season. If we were able to pick up 1 OT loss last season, we can definitely pick up a few this year with Mark Stone on the team. Okay, this right here is just so utterly embarrassing. This is not the same season. The LA Kings really couldn't beat this team in regulation once again. Even after we do another simulation, after adding Mark Stone, you guys still can't beat us. You had another chance. We're basically a 0 overall team still. At this point, you might as well just abandon the franchise. Like, honestly, what are y'all doing? And I feel like it should go without saying, but that's going to be the only point we're picking up here. That 1 OT loss to the LA Kings. Mark Stone, he was a massive pickup for us. 11 goals, 22 helpers for 33 points. Dylan Larkin, he's going to be having a solid season as well, 29 points. While Erik Karlsson and Sergachev, they're both picking up 12. While Keandre Miller is going to round out this core. He's got 11 points. The goaltending numbers, they're going to be looking okay from Jake Oettinger. A 904 with 1 OT loss. Now it's clear to see this team's taking strides here. The Tampa Bay Lightning are going to be winning a Stanley Cup. However, I think there is one thing this team needs right now, and that's a superstar. I'm talking a top 10 player. So are we going to be able to add a top 10 player from this next team right here? Definitely not. It's the New Jersey Devils. However, Jack Hughes, I definitely wouldn't be against that. So best case scenario here, we're going to be getting the center position. Unfortunately, that's not the case. We're getting a right winger though. Now, unfortunately, we're not going to be getting Jack Hughes here, but we already knew that. His secondary possession is the left winger outside of him being a center. But you know whose secondary possession is right wing? That's going to be Jesper Bratt, 89 overall. Now we officially have 1 forward line here alongside 1 defensive pairing. Jesper Bratt, Dylan Larkin, or Mark Stone are going to be holding it down for the near future. The only issue I have with these guys right now is we've picked up a handful of playmakers. 2 of the 3 forwards we've selected are playmakers. So hopefully in these next upcoming picks we can get some snipers. Alright, hold on. I was not paying attention. We won a game here. Who did we beat? Probably the LA Kings. We probably beat the LA Kings, but no, it's not. It's actually the Buffalo Sabres beating this team 2-1 in a shootout. Nah, that's tough. Ain't no way you're losing to our team right here. We have 3 forwards, 3 defensemen, and 1 goaltender. The rest, 0 overalls, and you still can't beat us. This is worse than losing in overtime. I've been ripping on the LA Kings, but Buffalo, you gotta relocate. You just gotta abolish your franchise. Now this trade right here just doesn't make sense. Taylor Hall to the Florida Panthers for Sergei Bobrovsky. Like, what's the thought process there for Florida? You bring in Taylor Hall, but now you don't have a goaltender other than Spencer Knight. For Chicago, yeah, you got Bobrovsky, I guess. Meanwhile, the Vegas Golden Knights are up to their salary cap magic, and they're bringing in Michael Matheson and Brendan Gallagher. That is a move. That is certainly a move. Now to finish out the season, we're actually picking up multiple wins as we're going to be in the Minnesota Wild after the trade deadline. We're taking them down 3-2 in a shootout. Now it's not really much of a surprise that our wins are coming in either overtime or a shootout, but one of these days we're going to start picking up some regulation wins. Nah, but real talk, we got to celebrate some of the fantastic seasons here. Jesper Bratt, you turned out to be an incredible pickup for us. 48 points here. Dylan Larkin 42, Mark Stone 41. While the defense was a bit of a letdown, Erik Karlsson 26 points. I can't complain about that, but Sergachev and Keandre Miller, I need better from you two guys. You're playing some big time minutes here and you're only picking up 8 and 9 points respectfully. That's just not enough. Meanwhile, Jake Oettinger, the Otter, an incredible season here. I don't care about the save percentage. I don't care about the goals against. All I care about is this number right here, 2 wins. Now we finally won some regular season games. The team's got a bit of motion here, and now it's time for us to step up with this next player. And once we acquire this next player, that's going to make the big difference for our team. Because this next player we're acquiring is one of the best in the NHL, if not the best. We're going to be picking them up from the Arizona Coyotes. Wow, this is already aging terribly. Now, you know what? I'm going to keep on gassing up the player we're going to be selecting. They're going to be a superstar, and we're going to go with number 20 here, and that's going to give us a center. I think that means we're getting Nick Schmaltz. Ain't no way I gassed us up getting a superstar and we're walking away with Nick Schmaltz. So I was gassing this team up, talking about how we were bringing in superstars. We're talking the likes of Austin Matthews, Leon Draisaitl, Connor McDavid, even David Pastrnak. But I'm going to come home from the store with Nick Schmaltz. You don't go to the store talking you're going to bring Connor McDavid onto the team, and you come home with Nick Schmaltz. You just don't do that. From here on out, every single player we add to this team is going to be making us better, and every single player is going to mean additional wins to the team. Nick Schmaltz is going to be brought in to help the second line here. Obviously, the team's still looking terrible, but the fact that we were able to win some games last year shows some good signs for this team. So we currently have 1 win right now, and normally 1 win wouldn't mean too much. But the fact that it was a regulation win over the Edmonton Oilers, that's our first regulation win in the video, and that's going to spark a lot more. We better not go on some massive losing streak to finish out the season and only finish with 1 win. We got to win at least 4 games this year. So in season mode, I guess trades just get absolutely stupid. John Tavares to the Winnipeg Jets. Johnny T just got traded. So I guess anything can happen. So we might not have won 4 games during the regular season here, but there is one thing we can celebrate. All 3 games we won were in regulation. So none of them were in overtime. None of them were in a shootout. All 3 wins are coming in regulation here. We're still scoring less than a goal per game though. However, the defense has slowly taken steps in the right direction. We're down below 7 and we're now at 6.2 goals allowed. So a season like this just shows how valuable each player is to their team. Jesper Bratt, he's picking up 60 points. Dylan Larkin, 48. But we're going to go down to Nick Schmaltz here. He was playing second line minutes for this team, only 16 points because he had 2-0 overalls at his side. Unless you have good NHL players here, you're not going to be seeing any success. Keandre Miller, a 7-point season from you. Similar to Nick Schmaltz, you didn't have any good players at your side. While the goaltending from the Otter, this might be the greatest season you've ever had. 3 wins, 1 OT loss, a 909 and a 486. A 909 while facing 3,815 shots, you got to be locked in to be doing something like that. And to cap this season off, it looks like the New Jersey Devils are going to go on to win the Stanley Cup, taking down the Anaheim Ducks. Obviously, this is the most realistic matchup for a Stanley Cup final. So one thing that our team's desperately missing right now is a superstar sniper, and that's what we need with our next selection. We're 100% not getting that from the San Jose Sharks. So really, I don't even know what position I want to get here. We're just going to go with number 1 because ideally San Jose gets the first overall pick in the entire league. We're going to be picking up a right winger with this selection. Who do the San Jose Sharks have for elite right wingers? I mean, to be fair, that team doesn't have any elite players. But yeah, I couldn't tell you who their number 1 right winger is. No, like seriously, call me a casual as much as you want, but who is San Jose's best right winger right now? I could not think of it. Logan Couture, I know for a fact it's not you. Mikael Granlund, I guess it's going to be you. 83 overall Mikael Granlund. Although he is a center, his secondary position is right wing, so you're going to be the guy we're picking up here. If we weren't picking up Granlund, it was going to be Barabanov. I did not realize he was their number 1 right winger. That is a sad franchise right there. I'm praying for them. Now, I got no issue with our top line here. Mark Stone, Dylan Larkin, Jesper Bratt, that's a great first line. However, Nick Schmaltz and Mikael Granlund, not the greatest second line. Like, considering we can select from basically every single team in the league, and we can get the best players available, Nick Schmaltz and Mikael Granlund, no disrespect to you, but there are better options out there. Now, we aren't seeing much of a difference in success this season, but we are having our first 10-point season. We have 4 wins and 2 OT losses. We're finally above a point a game here. We got 90 goals, which is going to be 1.1 goals, but the defense still looking abysmal, but you know what? It's a work in progress, as we know. Now, Granlund, I understand that you and Nick Schmaltz did have a 0 overall playing alongside you, but even still, 15 points in 82 games is absolutely abysmal. You would have been playing on the second power play. Then again, the second power play actually wouldn't have had anything. We would have had our top guys on the first power play. On the second power play, there would have been nobody, but that doesn't matter. You should have way more than 15 points. While Jake Ottinger, 1 shutout. You guys got a shutout this season? Who did you guys shut out? And it looks like that team's going to be the Montreal Canadiens. We beat them 3-0. So not only did we shut you out, we scored 3 goals against you. We averaged 1 goal per game. That is tough. But you know what's tougher than that? Landing on the Chicago Blackhawks and then not getting to select Connor Bedard. Okay, we're getting the Winnipeg Jets. Basically, no matter what we get here is going to be a good selection. Now, we need to get a big-time player here. I think I'm going to go with number 17, and that's going to give us a left winger. I think that means we're getting Kyle Connor. Oh, by the way, the Rangers won the Stanley Cup, taking down the Winnipeg Jets. Thought I'd mention that. Now, Kyle Connor is going to be a big-time selection for us because that means we're finally bringing a sniper to the team here. 90 overall Kyle Connor. Yeah, he's going to be making a massive difference here. We might get up to 2 goals per game. And by adding Kyle Connor, we're seeing massive improvements to the team. We're up to a 15 overall. Before we added Kyle Connor, we were sitting at a 9 for the past like 6 years. But Kyle Connor's making that difference. Shout out to him. So we finally got our first sniper of the video, and that's going to be Kyle Connor playing alongside Dylan, Larkin, and Mark Stone. And that means Jesper Bratt's going to be moved down to the second line. He's going to have Nick Schmaltz and Mikhail Granlund at his side. We got 2 solid forward lines we can actually run now, so I think we're going to see a bit more success, potentially a 10-win season. I mean, 10 wins might be quite the jump considering we only had 4 last season. But you know what? The fact that we have somebody that can score goals on this team and we have 2 lines we can run, that's going to make a massive difference. Now, this is just such a weird trade. Detroit picking up John Tavares and Calle Jarkko. Like, what would be the thought process behind that for Toronto? Oh, you get younger, but you lose John Tavares and Calle Jarkko. And for Detroit, you added old John Tavares to your team. Like, that doesn't work for either side. Okay, I take that back. Detroit's going for a Stanley Cup. They're trading all the young guys away. Okay, so at this point, Detroit's just going on some miracle run here. I need to know who else they're going to be picking up here. Okay, Montreal's making a trade with Vegas. But no, hold on. I want to go look at that Detroit roster now. So with the additions Detroit made, they're bringing in Calle Jarkko. He has 51 points so far. John Tavares, 45 points. A great player. Mackenzie Weegar, 39. And then they picked up one more defenseman. That's going to be Jonas Brodin. He's got 28. So they made some massive upgrades to this team. They said, screw the young core here. We're winning now. Now, it's unfortunate that we're actually not going to be hitting the 10-win mark this season, but we did double our win total. We're up to 8 wins here, and we're close to 2 goals per game. We're at 1.85. On top of that, it's clear to see that the addition of Kyle Connor is making a massive difference to this team. 75 points. He's got 44 goals. Erik Karlsson, 64 points. Mark Stone, 58. Meanwhile, Mikael Granlund, he's having a much better season. He's up to 31 points. So I guess adding somebody that isn't a 0 overall player because Jesper Bratt did move down to the second line, that makes quite a bit of a difference. Meanwhile, Jake Ottinger, a save percentage below 900. What are you even doing out there? Stop the puck once in a while. And to cap off this season, we're going to see the Edmonton Oilers taking down the Rangers in a 7-game series. And speaking of the Edmonton Oilers, that's who we need with this next spin. We got to be adding Connor McDavid to the team. I'll take the Colorado Avalanche though. We're getting a great player no matter what once again. So we were able to pick up an elite player from the Winnipeg Jets. Now we're going to be doing the exact same thing with the Colorado Avalanche. I really want to land on the center position here or right defenseman. I want to be bringing Cale Makar to the team. We're getting a left defenseman. I mean, we're still going to be getting a great player here, but Cale Makar would have been a difference maker. So although we're not picking up Nathan McKinnon, Cale Makar, or Mikko Rantanen, Devon Toews is definitely a great consolation prize. 89 overall, and he's going to help fill out our defensive core here. So it looks like Devon Toews is going to be a massive upgrade to the Everett Elks here, as we're now with 21 overall, making a 6 overall jump with just him added to the team. Through adding Devon Toews, we're going to be putting him on the first pairing, which is going to move Keandre Miller down to the second pairing. But since he can play on both sides, and he was originally picked up as a right defenseman, that's where he's going to be playing. So he's going to be alongside Keandre Miller, Devon Toews alongside Erik Karlsson. 2 of our 3 defensive pairings are set here, and honestly, we got some incredible players here. It's only a matter of time before we're bringing home a Stanley Cup. With another season in the books, we have something to celebrate. Over 10 wins this season, we're picking up a 12, 66, and 4 record, and we're also going to be over 2 goals per game, while under 6 goals per game. So we saw a lot of progression this season. We're going to keep on bringing stars onto the team, and then we're going to be a top 10 team sooner than later. However, I will say a lot of the guys on this team actually disappointed me. Kyle Connor, you only had 63 points this season. 41 goals is great and all, but I'm expecting a bit more from you. Meanwhile, Devon Toews, your first season with the team, not the best in the world. 27 points here, 5 goals and 22 helpers. You were playing alongside Erik Karlsson here. I mean, he would have been taking a lot of the limelight, but even still, I'm expecting a few more points from you. Meanwhile, Jake Ottinger's having a massive bounce back year, and he's got that save percentage above 900 again. It's kind of ironic how the season where Detroit didn't make any major trades, they're going to be winning the Stanley Cup. But that year that they gave up absolutely everything, they didn't win a Stanley Cup. So sometimes less is more. That's what we learned today. So just give me like Connor McDavid, Austin Matthews, any one of those guys. So the Calgary Flames are definitely not helping us considering they traded basically all the good players away. I mean, they still do have a couple guys we could pick up, but who are we going to be picking up that's going to make a massive difference to this team? I mean, a backup goaltender wouldn't be bad, but I don't want to be wasting that with the Calgary Flames. We're going with the 14th overall here, and that means we're getting another left winger. Now, unfortunately, I do believe the best left winger on the Calgary Flames is another playmaker, so that doesn't really help us. So it looks like there's actually a tie for the highest overall left winger on the the team. That's between Jonathan Huberdeau and Kuzmenko, but obviously we need snipers on this team, so Kuzmenko, you're going to be the guy we're picking up here. We have enough playmakers here. We don't need Huberdeau. Kuzmenko, you're going to make a massive difference here. You're going to be playing some second line minutes right now. Now, as I just mentioned, Kuzmenko is going to play second line minutes for us this season. Him, Nick Schmaltz, and Jesper Bratt are going to be holding it down that second line, while Mikael Granlund, I am going to be moving him down to the third line. I think by the time we add all the players to this team, Mikael Granlund's going to be a fourth line guy for us. We just got incredibly unlucky by landing on the San Jose Sharks. Okay, so this season was a massive disappointment. We won 12 games once again. Somehow, after adding Kuzmenko to the team, we didn't get any better. Our offense was virtually the exact same, and our defense was virtually the exact same. Somehow, by adding Kuzmenko to this team and replacing a 0 overall player with him, we didn't get any better. This team just sucked from top to bottom. Kuzmenko, how did you make our team worse? Because that's basically what you did here. You replaced a 0 overall player, and we still got worse. Jake Ottinger, I mean, your numbers were better this season. You picked up another shutout, a 909. But in all seriousness, how did this team do virtually the exact same? That doesn't make any sense. The Winnipeg Jets are winning a Stanley Cup. Enough yapping, it's time for us to add another player, because this was an absolute disgrace. No, like real talk, after adding Kuzmenko to the team, how did we do virtually the exact same? The Buffalo Sabres are going to be the next team we're selecting from. I wouldn't mind getting a centerman here, because that means we could get Tage Thompson. I mean, even a defenseman, if we could pick up Rasmus Dahlin, Owen Power, Bo Byram, there's a lot of good options there. So with the Buffalo Sabres, I think we're going to go with number 4 here. That's going to be giving us a right winger, and that also means we're getting Tage Thompson because his secondary position's right wing. Now, this is a big time pickup for the team. Getting a guy like Tage Thompson is going to do massive things for this team. Superstar X Factor, 89 overall. That's going to be a massive improvement to this forward core. Hopefully he doesn't make us worse like Kuzmenko did. Still haven't gotten over the fact that he made us worse somehow. So I don't think it really matters who plays on the first line, whether it's Tage Thompson or Mark Stone. We're going to go with Mark Stone just because he is 1 overall higher. So that means Tage Thompson, Nick Schmaltz, and Jesper Bratt are going to hold it down on this line. We're not going to have a sniper because Kuzmenko is going to move down to the third line, but that guy just made our team worse, so I don't think it really matters if we don't have a sniper here. Now, this was a massive season for the team here, as we're going to be seeing a ton of success. We're up to 18 wins, but more importantly, 11 OT losses is going to give us 47 points on the season, and that's definitely our best so far. 2.29 goals per game while only allowing 4.65. I really thought this team would be a bit better than this considering all the players we have here, but then again, we do have a handful of 0 overalls still. And the 0 overalls are really what's holding this team back, because if you look at the NHL players we've added to this team, they're definitely performing here. However, Nick Schmaltz, I would like to see you doing a bit more. You're playing big second line minutes and you're only getting 37 points. I need more from you here. While Jake Ottinger, just keep on doing your thing. 18 wins, 11 OT losses, 1 shutout, a 914, a 355, and with another season wrapped up, that means we have a new Stanley Cup champion, and this time it's going to be the Pittsburgh Penguins taking down the Colorado Avalanche in 7 games. So the past couple years we've added some great players to the team, but now it's time to add a superstar player. That's not coming from the Philadelphia Flyers. Why can we not get superstar players? Like, we've got some great players on this team, no question about it, but we don't have any top 5 players. We don't have any top 5 players, and I don't think we even have any top 10 players. The 19th overall is going to be giving us something decent here, a right defenseman. I take that back, that's not giving us anything decent here. Who is the best right defenseman on the Philadelphia Flyers? Oh boy, we're cooked, aren't we? Now, if we did this video a couple months ago, we would have been in a better position. Travis Sanheim, he's a left defenseman, so we're not going to be adding him here. Who is the highest overall right defenseman on the team? I guess it's going to be Cam York because that's his secondary position. 83 overall, Cam York's joined the team. I mean, I guess we also could go with Jamie Drysdale, but I mean, an 83 is an 83, so we're just going to go with Cam York for the sake of this video. And I guess the addition of Cam York means quite a bit because we were a 29 overall before adding him to the team. Now we're a 41 overall. A 12 overall jump just because of Cam York. So maybe he's going to be a special player for this team. So Cam York's going to be the final right defenseman we're bringing to the team here, so that means we're going to be rocking with Erik Karlsson, Sergachev, Cam York. Honestly, that's a pretty good defense if you ask me. I would have preferred picking up probably an 85 overall with X factors, but you know what? We definitely could have got something worse. Like, imagine picking up a defenseman from the San Jose Sharks. I don't even know who they have left. Now, I was about to celebrate us having a 20-win season here, but I have one issue with the team. How are we at 5 goals allowed per game again? Last season, we were below 5 goals a game. How did we get worse defensively? Cam York, you were not that guy. But on top of a 20-win season, we finally have our first point a game season. That's going to be coming from Kyle Connor. 43 goals and 39 helpers for 82 points here. And he was only minus 21, with the best plus-minus player on this team being Tage Thompson. He's only minus 10. So considering everything, I'll actually take these numbers right here. Jake Ottinger, you had a 905, a 377. Our backup was just really, really bad this season. Because with these numbers, there's no reason we should have a goals against above 5. This backup, though, he was just bad. Worse than normal. Now, you just hate to see it. You really do. St. Louis making it all the way to the Stanley Cup final to lose to the Florida Panthers. It's a sad day. However, there is one thing that could make up for that, us landing on the St. Louis Blues and then adding Robert Thomas to the team, or we can land on the Seattle Kraken and get Andrei Burakovsky. He would definitely make us a 60-win team. So we have to cook with this next selection. We only have 6 picks left on the board here. One of them has to be Andrei Burakovsky. We're going to go with number 3 here. Are we going to be getting a left winger? It looks like we're getting a left defenseman. I mean, that's still going to be a great selection because we're getting a former St. Louis Blues player. That's going to be Vince Dunn. Now, this final selection is going to be finishing the defensive core. 88 overall Vince Dunn. He's going to be a great left defenseman for us. He's probably going to be our second pairing defenseman. He's going to be playing alongside Sergachev. These two guys are going to be great together. So these are our defensive pairings for the rest of the video. It's going to be Devon, Toews, and Erik Karlsson, Sergachev alongside Vince Dunn, and then Keandre Miller and Cam York. These are definitely some great defensive pairings that we can run with. Now, all we have to do is bring snipers onto the team. So far, the only goal scorer that we have is Kyle Connor. We need a couple more. I mean, we do have Kuzmenko, but I'm not going to forgive him for that first season. Okay, I don't know what it is about John Tavares, but once again, he's going to be traded here, and this time he's going to be going to the New Jersey Devils. I really don't understand why he's been getting traded so much in this video, but I guess Toronto just doesn't really want him. So I'm not going to lie, after adding Vince Dunn, I thought our team would be a lot better. A 24, 49, and 9 record is not what I was expecting here, but we are getting pretty close to second last in the entire league. The Montreal Canadiens, they were not cooking this season. We are above 3 goals per game, which is better than the Montreal Canadiens. However, the defense in this team, that's what's holding us back, which is kind of surprising considering we do have Jake Andre in between the pipes and we have a great defensive core. But then again, on that fourth line, we still have 0 overall players. So I think we're 1, maybe 2 players away from really taking over in the league. And Tage Thompson, a positive plus-minus season. He's +1. Nick Schmaltz, he's going to be +4 here. Meanwhile, with the defense, this is not it. Devon Toews -52. How are you -52? I really don't understand that. Some of these guys were just not performing. And meanwhile, a 908 and a 339 is okay numbers from Jake Ottinger. But look at Jordan NHL backing him up. He's picking up 2 wins this season. A 36 overall goaltender with these numbers right here picked up 2 wins during the regular season. What kind of a universe are we living in? No, like seriously, imagine not beating a 0 overall goaltender. Like that man cannot save the puck. If you take a shot, he's going to allow the goal. And somehow we still beat a team with him in between the pipes. The Carolina Hurricanes are going to be beating the Colorado Avalanche. Carolina is actually a team I wouldn't mind getting with this next spin. Because hypothetically, if we can land on the Carolina Hurricanes and get the center position, that would be a great pickup by getting Sebastian Aho. Unfortunately, we're not going to be getting Sebastian Aho, but Minnesota could be giving us Kirill Kaprizov. Now, if I do remember correctly, Kirill Kaprizov can play the left or right wing, so we just got to hope that's what we're getting right here. We're going to go with the 12th overall, and that means we're adding Kirill Kaprizov to the team. Another sniper, and he's going to be the missing piece. So Kirill Kaprizov, welcome to the team. I don't even have to consider who we're going to be selecting here. Slam dunk Kirill Kaprizov, the highest overall player on this team now, a 92 overall. Kyle Connor, I'm sorry to say, you're moving down to the second line. We have a new sniper here. So the forward core now is a top 9 that we can actually rock with. Kirill Kaprizov, Dylan Larkin, Mark Stone, Jesper Bratt, Tage Thompson, Kyle Connor, Kuzmenko, Schmaltz, Granlund. We should be able to make the playoffs with us right here. I understand we don't have a 4th line. Like, these guys are really going to be holding us back, but we have a fantastic forward core here. The defensive core is really solid. No weaknesses across the board, and the goaltending, we still have the Otter. Maybe having a 0 overall backup isn't ideal, but Jake Ottinger's getting 90% of the starts here. We should be able to make it into the playoffs. Now, am I setting very high expectations considering we finished dead last in the entire league last season? Absolutely, but we have talent here, and that talent's going to show out. Now, it was a massive season for the team. Unfortunately, we're not going to be making the playoffs here, but we were pretty close. 24th in the entire league. We're no longer dead last. A 36, 36, and 10 record. Once we add one more player to this 4th line, we're going to be in the postseason. And surprisingly, it's not going to be Kirill Kaprizov leading the team. He's coming in second with 87 points, but Kyle Connor was him on the second line. 92 points here, 52 goals, 40 assists. He was an absolute beast. Tage Thompson, a great season. Nick Schmaltz, are you going to be the only player with a positive plus-minus on this team? You and Kuzmenko. Ain't no way Kuzmenko is one of the players that has a positive plus-minus. I brought this guy to our team, and he immediately made us worse in season number 1, but here we are. Jake Ottinger, 35 wins, 10 OT losses, 2 shots, a 910, a 301. I actually don't think we need a 4th line here. I think we just need a backup goaltender because Jordan had a 1-19 record. If half of those losses turn into wins, we're in the playoffs. With our next wheel spin, obviously I'm going to want a great forward, but if we land on a really poor team, then I'm going to want a goaltender because even the bad teams have decent enough backups. So you already know what my luck is. We're probably going to land on an elite team here, and we're landing on the Boston Bruins, so that's going to be fantastic. Jeremy Swayman, welcome to the team, because I guarantee the next position we're going to pick is going to be a goaltender. Like when it comes to forwards, we could bring in guys like David Pastrnak, Brad Marchand, but you know who we're bringing onto the team? Jeremy Swayman. Never mind, we're actually getting a centerman here, but does Boston really have a superstar center? I know they got Charlie Coyle there. Pavel Zacha is another center. Now, don't get me wrong, Charlie Coyle is going to be a nice centerman on this team, but we're going to be missing on guys like David Pastrnak. We're not picking up Charlie McAvoy, not Brad Marchand. We're going to be missing on both of these goaltenders right here, missing on Hampus Lindholm. Charlie Coyle is going to be coming to the team 85 overall. He only has top 9 potential. Not going to lie, that's a bit disrespectful from Charlie Coyle. You got to up that to top 6. Like Mikael Granlund has low elite potential, and Charlie Coyle only has top 9. Now, I'm not disrespecting Mikael Granlund. You know, he's had some great seasons. A 64-point season with Nashville a couple years ago. But come on, you got to give Charlie Coyle at least top 6 potential. So I think this should be enough for us to make the postseason here. Mikael Granlund's going to be moving down to the 4th line as Charlie Coyle is going to be stepping in alongside Nick Schmaltz and Kuzmenko. We were just a couple points shy of making the playoffs last year. And with the way this team's looking, we definitely should be making it now. Okay, at this point, I'm kind of curious. Has John Tavares finished the season on other teams more than he has the Toronto Maple Leafs? Because now he's traded to the Winnipeg Jets. This man has got traded probably 6 times in this video so far. I guess he's never going to finish the season on Toronto. Also, we're going to miss the playoffs once again here. I don't know why, but we are not performing as well as we did last season. Now, I'm not going to lie, this season was an absolute wash. Explain to me how we did worse than last year. 27th in the entire league, a 34, 36, and 12 record. An absolute disgrace right here. Charlie Coyle somehow made this team worse. Kirill Kaprizov, 97 points, you were -4. Erik Karlsson, 81, you were -24. Who had a positive plus-minus on this team? Kyle Connor, Jesper Bratt, Tage Thompson. Everyone else had a negative plus-minus. No surprise. Actually, that is a bit of a surprise because we have 2 0 overall players on our team, and some reason these are the plus-minuses because of those 2 players right there. I mean, we do have a 0 overall goaltender, so that also impacts the stats, but even still. Okay, this man played in 19 games and didn't win a single one. He had a 756 and a 760. I take that back. This is why the plus-minuses are so bad. Yeah, I completely forgot the fact that we had a 0 overall in between the pipes still. Shout out to the Colorado Avalanche. They're winning a Stanley Cup here. If we can get a backup goaltender, then we'll be bringing home a Stanley Cup because we'll actually be able to make the playoffs. So can we please get a backup goaltender here, or Connor McDavid or Austin Matthews? Give me Connor McDavid. I don't know if we have any center positions left. We still have 2 center positions on the board here. So one of these is a backup goaltender. So we got to pray that the 15th selection here is going to be a centerman. I hate this so much. We could have got Connor McDavid. Instead, we're getting Stuart Skinner. So we could have had Connor McDavid. We could have had Leon Draisaitl. We could have had Zach Hyman, Matthias Ekholm, Darnell Nurse, Evan Bouchard, Nugent Hopkins, Evander Kane. We could have had all of those players. But instead, we're getting Stuart Skinner. We went to the store for Connor McDavid, and we came back with Stuart Skinner. That is tough. So I guess the one good thing about bringing Stuart Skinner onto the team is we're guaranteed to make the playoffs here because he's going to win at least half of the games he plays in. We basically can add 10 wins on to what we finished with last season. We're going to be a good enough team to make the playoffs. Are we going to be able to go on a deep run, though? I don't think so because we still have 2 0 overall players on our 4th line, and I think that's going to hold us back a bit too much. But then again, the reason we haven't made the playoffs the past 2 years, we didn't have a backup goaltender that can hold it down. Now we got Stuart Skinner, and I think we might be able to do something. Now it's finally happened. After the years of missing the playoffs, here we are, a 44, 34, and 4 record. We're in the postseason, picking up 3.33 goals per game, while the goals against is going to be below that at 3.02. Now Kirill Kaprizov, he's going to be leading the way here, but the one thing I do want to point out, look at all the players with a positive plus minus, and look at all the players with a negative. Of course, the Jordan NHLs aren't going to be good. Mikael Granlund, he's playing with 0 overall players. Keandre Miller, Charlie Coyle, you guys would have been on the ice a little bit when the 0 overalls are on, so I can't really put that on you. Meanwhile, the goaltending was absolutely spectacular from the Otter this season. A goals against below 3, I never thought I would see the day. But you know what else I didn't expect to see? The Arizona Coyotes, Chicago Blackhawks, Anaheim Ducks, and Columbus Blue Jackets all making the playoffs. All 4 of those teams just made the playoffs in this simulation. That makes sense. So if we were to win a Stanley Cup, this is definitely the year to do it. So we've exchanged the first couple games with the Arizona Coyotes, and we're going to be responding in Game 5 here. We got to take the lead in the series. Ain't no way we're about to lose to the Arizona Coyotes of all teams. We're winning in overtime in game number 6, so we're off to game 7. Like, respectfully, I'm not losing to the Arizona Coyotes in the first round here. We're picking up the first 2 goals of the game. We're going to be picking up another 2 in the second. We had a 4-0 lead at one point. Ain't no way we're going to be choking this one away. Okay, here we go. We're about to lose. Yep, that's great. We had a 4-0 lead at one point. Ended up losing this game. Tage Thompson, 10 points in 7 games. I don't even want to look at the numbers for this team. How did we just lose that? So as I mentioned, Tage Thompson was great here, but the rest of the team was not good. I mean, Kuzmenko was +7, so I got to give it to him. I did not expect you to be one of our top performers here. Jake Ottinger, 3 wins, a 900 save percentage, and a 358 goals against. The fact that we had 0 overalls on this team is definitely what made the difference in that series. But you know what? We're going to bounce back here. We have 2 more wheel spins to go, 2 more centermen to pick up. Who's going to be the next guy we're getting? Hopefully Austin Matthews. So we got a big time spin here. Who are we going to be adding to the team here? Ideally, it lands on the Toronto Maple Leafs. It looks like we're going to be getting their rival in the Montreal Canadiens. Not the worst team in the world, but certainly not the best. And as we know, it doesn't really matter which of these I select. We're going to go with number 7 here. That's giving us a centerman. Now, I already know who we're going to be adding to the team, but I'm not really sure what he's going to bring to the team here. Nick Suzuki, 88 overall. Another 2-way forward. I think this team still needs a bit more scoring. It's not like Nick Suzuki is going to make our team any worse. We're definitely going to be an even better team, and we're probably going to finish top 5 in the entire league, but I do think we need another elite sniper. We've officially moved up to an 83 overall, so I think we might be able to compete with the best in the league now. Now, is Nick Suzuki going to be the final piece of the puzzle here? We only have 1 0 overall player left. We're going to be adding another centerman next season, but if you look at this team, we should be able to win a Stanley Cup. We have a ton of fantastic talent here. Our top 6 is absolutely spectacular. We just got to show up when it matters most. So it's Stanley Cup time for the Everett Elks here. First in the entire league with a 54, 25, and 3 record. The offense is flying, 3.43, but it still could be a bit better. But the big thing holding us down is the defense so far. 2.85. Jake Ottinger's the man for us, and he's about to lead us to a Stanley Cup. The scoring on this team's pretty balanced. Kaprizov, 85 points. Kyle Connor, 84. Erik Karlsson, 82. And then we have a bunch of guys over 50 points here. When it comes to the goaltending, we already know that's going to look amazing. Jake Ottinger, 44 wins, 5 shots, a 914, a 273. But the regular season means nothing. It all matters right here. We're taking on the Nashville Predators in the first round. We got upset in the playoffs last year. It's time for this team to bounce back and go on a crazy run. And it looks like the Elks are going to make a statement in the series against the Nashville Predators as we're taking them out in a sweep. Now, we've moved on to the second round, and I can guarantee you this matchup is going to be a lot tougher for us. The Vegas Golden Knights. We all know who's on the Vegas Golden Knights. We better be prepared for what they could potentially do. Now, of course, Vegas is putting up a good fight. We're going back and forth with them so far in this series, and we've split that one. Game 5 is going to be a big one, but we're going to be allowing 7 goals. That's 7 goals too many. We got to wake up here in Game 6. We're picking up 7 of our own, and Game 7 is going to be the deciding one. So here we go. Game 7. The Elks taking on the Golden Knights. Marchessault's picking up the first goal of the game. Vegas is going to be picking up a handful of goals here, but we're going to be responding with 2 of our own. We got to make a big comeback here in the third period, and unfortunately, that's not going to be happening. Nick Schmaltz has picked up the lone goal, and we're going to be falling 4-3. We went on a decent run here, making it all the way to Game 7 of the second round. We're about to add another player to our team, and that's going to be the final missing piece. So let's go ahead, spin this wheel, add 1 more player to the team, and it looks like it's going to be from the St. Louis Blues. We're getting a centerman from the St. Louis Blues. I should have known that this man was going to be the missing piece for us. And just to prove we're getting a centerman, I'm going to open up this last box right here. Of course, we already knew it was going to be a centerman. So we got the St. Louis Blues to finish this off. And of course, we're going to be adding the GOAT, the greatest player of all time, the greatest player in the league, Robert Thomas. Welcome to the team. You're our captain, and you're about to lead us to a Stanley Cup. So obviously, these are the most factual lines we could run. Robert Thomas has to be the number 1 center alongside Kirill, Kaprizov, and Dylan Larkin. Kyle Connor, Tage Thompson, and Mark Stone are going to be holding it down the second line. Although they don't have a playmaker here, we have 3 guys with superstar X factors. They're going to find a way to get it done. Jesper Bratt's moving down to the third line. He's going to be paired up with Charlie Coyle and Nick Suzuki. And then Nick Schmaltz, Mikael, Granlund, and Kuzmenko are going to hold it down the fourth line. Defensively, we already know what we're doing here. It's going to be Devon, Toews, Erik Karlsson, Sergachev, Dunn, Keandre Miller, and Cam York. And then the goaltending spectacular with Jacob Ottinger, but I still haven't forgiven Stuart Skinner. It has nothing to do with Stuart Skinner did, but we could have had Connor McDavid on this team, but instead we got him. So with Robert Thomas leading the way, I'm honestly surprised we didn't go 82-0. We definitely should have. A 58, 20, and 4 record, 4 goals per game while only allowing 2.68. Look what Robert Thomas did to the team. The second we brought him here, everything changed for us. And what's he going to be doing? Where is Robert Thomas? Are you telling me he was our number 1 line center and he's only picking up 54 points here? I don't want to look at anyone else's numbers. Jake Andrei, I will take a quick look at yours. Good enough numbers. Robert Thomas, I need 50 points in the postseason from you. You need to step it up when it matters most, and you have to show these guys how it's done. We're taking on the Seattle Kraken first. Let's sweep them as we did the Nashville Predators. Now, it's not necessarily a sweep over the Seattle Kraken, but I will take a 5-game series, taking them down 3-2 in Game 5. So we've officially moved on to the second round. Now we got the Calgary Flames up next. We haven't been able to get past the second round yet, but that's about to change here. And the Calgary Flames are complete frauds. Honestly, I have no clue how this team even made the postseason. We're going to be smoking them in a 4-game series, and we've reached the conference finals. Now this is going to be one of the greatest matchups of all time. The Everett Elks taking on the Dallas Stars. Jake Ottinger versus Jake Ottinger. Because through making these teams, I've just been copying the players. I haven't removed them from any of these teams. So Jake Ottinger, he's still in the Dallas Stars while being on our team. It's Jake versus Jake. And of course, both Jakes are going to be playing absolutely fantastic here. We have a tie series. Game 5 is going to be a massive one. We're going to be taking that one 5-1. And can we close this out in Game 6 and make it to the Stanley Cup final? It looks like we need to head to Game 7 because we're getting blown out in this one. So here we go. Game 7. Winners off to the Stanley Cup final. Which Jake Ottinger is going to be playing better? We have a 2-goal lead right now. I don't know why I said 2-goal lead. We picked up 2 goals in the first period. We're picking up another one here. It's a 1-goal lead entering the third period. And it looks like we're going to be taking this one. 3 more goals in the third, and we're taking this one 6-2. So it all comes down to this one final matchup against the Carolina Hurricanes. If we win 4 more games, then we're Stanley Cup champions. We all know what's on the line here. It's time to close this series out. Now 4 more wins is all I'm asking for, so that means we're going to simulate the first 4 games of this series and ideally complete in a sweep here. It looks like we're exchanging games with the Carolina Hurricanes. The big time players need to make some big time plays here. We're going to be showing up in game number 5, and can we close out in game number 6 and be Stanley Cup champions? It looks like we need a game 7. So here we go, game 7, Stanley Cup final. Who is going to show up when it matters most here? It looks like we're exchanging goals in the first period. In the second, we're exchanging goals once again. Robert Thomas, it's time for you to take over and lead us to greatness here. Okay, we got smoked. So we've gotten rid of every single 0 overall on this team, and we still haven't been able to win a Stanley Cup. So you already know what that means. We got to spin that wheel again. I don't know who we're going to be adding to this team, but we're going to be adding somebody. So what we're going to be doing here is I'm going to go ahead and spin this wheel, and I can select any player I want. Ironically, we're landing on the Carolina Hurricanes, so I can take any player from the Carolina Hurricanes and add him to our team. So I've mentioned this a couple times. I feel like the one thing this team is desperately missing is goal scorers. So Jake Guentzel, you'd be an incredible pickup for us, but we also could use another playmaker. Martin Necas, he'd be a great guy for us, but you know what? Goal scoring wins Stanley Cups, so Jake Guentzel, welcome to the team. So I don't really know what it's going to take for this team to see success. Robert Thomas, Dylan Larkin, Kaprizov. I mean, we already know what the forward core looks like. We added Jake Guentzel. You're telling me this team right here can't win a Stanley Cup? Like, what are we talking about here? We're best in the entire league. We're probably going to be a 60-win team. I don't understand how anyone could really compete with us. All right, we're not going to talk about the record this team has right now. A 49-28-5 record, second in the entire league. We do understand who's on our team, right? We were the best offensive team, 3.88, but the defense sucked. Why was our defense so bad? We added Jake Guentzel, so we have basically all 85 and aboves. There's no reason this team should be so bad right now, and there's no reason we shouldn't be a 60-win team. Kirill Kaprizov, 112 points. He was incredible. Robert Thomas, 58. Mark Stone, you were minus 15. Nick Suzuki, you were minus 9. What is going on with this team? All of a sudden, we don't know how to play hockey. The goaltending numbers, these actually aren't even that great. Stuart Skinner, you had an 893. Ain't no way. So we're moving on to the postseason. We got the Vegas Golden Knights up first. We should be able to win a Stanley Cup with this team. We really should. Okay, I can't get over the fact that we allowed 9 goals in game number 2. How does this team allow 9 goals in one game? This team just allowed 7 goals in one game as well. Do we just not know how to play defense? We're about to blow a 3-1 series lead. You know what? I don't even want to jump into game 7. I want to simulate this game right here. How did that just happen? We blew a 3-1 series lead, allowed 9 goals here, 7 goals here, 4 goals here, 2 goals here. I mean, 2 goals isn't really that bad, but even still, 9 goals and 7 goals. That really happened. So we're going to immediately spin the wheel here. We're landing on the Ottawa Senators. I don't really see how this team's going to be helping us. So I don't care what happens in the rest of the postseason. We got to add somebody to this team. Who are we going to bring to the team? Tim Stützle, he'd be a great playmaker. I mean, bringing another playmaker to the team might be the move. Do we need to pick up another defenseman here? Thomas Chabot? I don't think so. We could pick up Jacob Chikrin, though. We can play both sides. But you know what? I think we got to go with Tim Stützle. Another playmaker. We have a handful of snipers now. I think we just need some more playmaking abilities here. So what we're going to do for this season is we're rocking the head coach preferred lines. The coach wants to run with lines like these, then these are the lines we're going to be running. Does it make sense? I mean, it actually kind of does. We got a lot of playmakers alongside snipers. We have a lot of talented guys on this team. We should be able to win a Stanley Cup. The defensive pairings can't complain about. We got some great defensemen here. Do I need to replace Cam York though? I don't think I should have to. Like we have an 86, 288, an 89, and 90. I feel like that should be enough for the defensive core here. Jake Ottinger, one of the best in the game right right now. Where is the weaknesses on this team? You got to explain that to me. So John Tavares, welcome to a new team. You're off to the Dallas Stars now as Toronto's picking up Logan Stankoven. All right, so we're back where we should be. Number 1 in the entire league, a 56 win season. We already know what this team can do. Last season, we're not going to discuss. Blowing a 3-1 series lead is absolutely wild. Kirill, Kaprizov, 96 points here. The scoring's looking pretty great. Robert Thomas, 62 points. Everything about this team is fantastic right now. Jake Ottinger, 44 wins, 4 shots, a 911 and a 249. The best numbers you've had so far. We have to win a Stanley Cup in these next couple of years. There is no reason that we should go through every single team in the NHL and still not have a Stanley Cup. Seattle's first here. Last time we took Seattle on the first round, we smoked them. So we have a 3-1 series lead against the Seattle Kraken. We better not be blowing back-to-back 3-1 series leads here. We're moving on to the second round with a 4-2 victory. So we moved on to the second round. We have the Vancouver Canucks up next. As we know, the Vancouver Canucks are a great team, but you know what? The Everett Elks are clearly better, but that doesn't really mean anything because we were better than the Vegas Golden Knights last season, and look what happened. So it's time for this team to either show up or shut up here. We have a 3-1 series lead against the Vancouver Canucks. Another series being closed out in 5 games. We're off to the conference finals. So here we go, the conference finals. The Elks are going to be taking on the Minnesota Wild. Then we're going to have a battle of Florida with the Tampa Bay Lightning taking on the Florida Panthers. All we need is 8 more wins. This team has only lost 2 so far. Let's not lose any more. So it looks like the Elks have finally got it all together here. This team's going to keep on rolling. We're taking down the Minnesota Wild in a 5-game series, and we're moving on to the Stanley Cup final. I'm assuming we're taking on the Tampa Bay Lightning. They did have a 3-1 series lead. Unless they're choking it away here, it looks like they will be. I think I'd rather take on Tampa than Florida, but it doesn't look like we got the choice. We got Florida up next. So here we go. All we have to do is win 4 games. We've been in this position before and we choked it away. We better not choke it away again here. We got to show up in game 5. That's exactly what's happening. Game 6, a chance at hoisting a Stanley Cup. We're not doing this again. We need the big time players to make some big time plays here. We're in game 7 of the Stanley Cup final. This team's got to show up, and it looks like we're finally going to be doing that. A 3-goal lead should be more than enough entering the 3rd period, and it looks like it will be. The Everett Elks are finally Stanley Cup champs. Now, like real talk, this took way too long. Not only did we fill out an entire roster, but we had to add extra players after that because these guys weren't performing when it mattered most. Tim Stützle, it looked like you were the missing piece. So if you made it to the end of this video, comment Tim Stützle. He was the missing piece for us. I guess that's all we needed. Jake Ottinger, 16 wins, 1 shot, a 920 and a 229. We finally won a Stanley Cup after years of constant disappointment, and all it took was Tim Stützle, a member of the Ottawa Senators. Who would have thought?